Rio D3 models are the new generation of I/O racks perfectly matched to work with DM7 series consoles and other Dante-based mixing systems. Let's see how to get them connected and gain control. Firstly, there are two sizes. Rio3224-D3 includes 32 analog inputs, 16 analog outputs, and 4 pairs of digital outputs, while Rio1608-D3 includes 16 analog inputs and 8 analog outputs. They are the same size as the previous generations of Rio D2 and Rio D, but they have the addition of a front panel headphone port, an extra rear panel network port, and internal processing for output delays, gains, and polarity. They also benefit from a lower noise floor and increased dynamic range, so there are plenty of good reasons to start using them. The workflow for Dante Setup, device mounting and control is unchanged with Rio D3 models, so they can easily be combined in a system with Rio D2 and even the original Rio D models. Let's follow the process for a simple system connection and control using a DM7 console. It's a similar procedure with RIVAGE PM series, CL and QL series, so it's worth following if you're using one of those consoles. Before connecting anything, let's consider the Dante setup and the networking environment, and let's begin with the console. Open the menu, then I/O device and the Dante setup. Look at the setup screen and set the Dante control ID. There should always be a console with ID number 1 in the system because it sets the sample rate, the bit depth, and the latency for the connected Rio units. So, if yours is the only console, make sure it is number 1. Now, set the ID numbers for the Rio D3 units. Each one should have a different number, though the number for an RIO unit can be the same as that of a console. If you want to mix Rio D3 with Rio D2 units, still make sure all their numbers are different. Press the front panel menu key, select Setup by using the encoder, then Unit ID. There are 128 numbers to choose from, though I shall use 1 and 2. Next, you should decide a strategy for network connections, daisy chain or redundant. Daisy chain, also known as a switched configuration, is the simplest and allows up to 10 devices to be linked in series without the need for a network switch. So let's use that for now. Daisy chain is the default setting, and you should check it's also set for each RIO unit. In the Setup menu, choose Sec Port, and then make sure Daisy chain is selected. It's important to make sure all devices are operating in the same mode to avoid networking problems. Then there is another important setting in the Rio D3 setup menu to consider before connecting the system. That is Startup mode. Refresh with mute is the default, which initializes the channel parameters and keeps the audio muted until the unit is synchronized with a console or other control device. It's the safest choice when constructing a system where the status of other connected devices may be unknown. Refresh without mute is another option which you may want to use if the outputs are shared with other devices. Resume without mute is the third choice, which is handy when the unit is to be used without a console connected. Use this when you trust the status of the connected audio output systems and the personnel in charge of them. Now let's get the devices connected. As always with the Dante network, make sure the cables are in good condition, are Cat5e or better, suited to 1 GB data rates, and are less than 100 meters long. Also, it's recommended to use shielded cables for reduced interference. We haven't talked about IP addresses or DHCP yet. I'll leave that for another video because if the default settings are used, the consoles and the RIO units won't require any adjustment. Back on the console, in the Dante Setup, open the device mount screen. Tap on a blank box and then tap on the online device list. The connected RIO units should be displayed with their device name shown and their device type or model colored blue. This will indicate that they are controllable devices. Tap Device Identify to light up the front panel of the selected device. Tap OK to mount the device. Now move to the Dante I/O device screen. Select one of the Rio-D3 units and you will see the connection status at the top right change from discovering to connecting, synchronizing, and finally controllable. If you get stuck during this process, there will probably be some network settings to change. Assuming you used the default settings for DM7 and RIO units, or used correct alternative settings, you will now see an overview of all the input settings and the output patches. Tap a row to view the details. For each input, you can control plus 48 volts, analog gain, gain compensation, high pass filter on off, and frequency. For each output, you can control the polarity, the output gain, output delay, and delay time. Notice the delay scale option at the top for distance, samples, and frame rate. Also notice the impedance selection, 10K or 600 ohms. This will compensate the output level for the kind of equipment you are connecting to. Modern professional equipment with high impedance inputs, or perhaps more vintage analog devices with a lower input impedance. To see input control settings in a channel strip, patch the RIO input port to a console channel. There are two stages to this process: Dante input patch and input channel patch. Start with the Dante input patch. Here, there is an auto setup to link the first mounted Dante devices to the first Dante input ports. Otherwise, select the input sources manually. After the Dante inputs are populated, move to the console patch menu and look at the input channel grid. Patch the Dante inputs 2 channels. Now press the home key to view either the selected channel or the overview on the main bass screen. Now the input channels will include gain and plus 48 volt settings for the patched RIO units. Any scenes you store now will include these settings. To output audio from a console channel to an RIO D3 output, there are also 2 stages of patching. First, go to the Patch menu and look at the Output Channel grid. Assign channels to the Dante ports. That sends audio out of the console to the Dante network, but it's not yet reaching the RIO output ports. For that final step, return to the I/O device menu, open Dante Patch and look at the output table. Select the device from the left column and select the sources from the right column. Remember, you can use the sequential patch for speed. Back in the I/O device screen, select the RIO unit and tap its outputs to confirm the patching. Now the complete signal flow is set up, ready for a line check. So, I wish you an enjoyable and successful next event. Just remember to store your settings in a scene memory. To learn more about Rio3224-D3, Rio1608-D3 and the compatible consoles, there are many more videos on this channel. Or find our website at yamaha.com. Follow the link in the description. See you next time.